And a very good Sunday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern Time, whatever time zone you're in. Welcome to the show. I hope you had a great day yesterday. Sunday morning, ready to start going again. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina. We're on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, and of course, also podcasting on most of your podcast platforms, such as iHeartRadio, Amazon Music Podcast, Apple Podcasts, you name it, we are there for you as well. So thank you for listening and welcome. Like I said, welcome to the show. Got a lot on tap today. We're going to talk about take a look at the Kentucky Derby and see how things went over there. We'll bring you up to date on some other information on some games that were played yesterday in basketball, hockey, and in baseball. And of course, as usual, we'll give you three games to play today if you're interested in the line movement of them, as well as in which direction the pros are going as well. So once again, thanks for listening. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I'll tell you something, that Derby was really something to watch yesterday. We went into the show yesterday letting you know that personally, even though I made a living at the racetrack, I own my own horse. I could never understand why people bet the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, the Belmont Stakes could be thrown in there as well. Because usually you have the best horses that are available are going to be running against each other. It's like always pitting, in football. It's almost like playing Kansas City against Tampa Bay again, or Kansas City against Green Bay again. They got two top teams. Either one can win. You're looking for that little niche somewhere that's going to sway you in one direction or another. And that's why I kind of stay away from it. Okay. Anyway, but yesterday was a special day, special because of the horse that won. We always talk about things to ourselves. We promise, well, I'll tell you what, if he gets elected, I'm moving to Canada. You hear those kind of things all the time. But you know what they're saying yesterday after the race yesterday? After Medina Spirit won, and he went wire to wire. That's what we call wire to wire. When you're in front right from the beginning, right to the end, they kept saying, and I'm sure most of you guys are saying the same thing, I'll never bet against Bob Baffert again. Okay, he was that great. Most everybody among the 51,800 people that were there, and they were on another horse. There were 51,837 who had fewer than $2.4 million on essential quality. Okay, Mattress Mac did. Okay, he doesn't win them all, but it seems like Baffert certainly does. So now with 7 victories, Baffert broke his tie for that Kentucky Derby record with plain and very simple. If you remember back in those days, Ben Jones, who dominated Churchill Downs. He had horses like Whirlaway, Citation, Calumet Farms was the big farm during that era, bringing on horse races, bringing on horses that were top quality or winning the Derby seemed like every time they went out. And of course, he did it this time with a colt that was no better than his third best 3-year-old in the barn. That really wasn't his number one horse yesterday. Life is Good was the Derby favorite until he got hurt. Concert Tour was among the shortest price contenders until he was washed out at the Arkansas Derby. So those two horses that were kind of primed to go to the Derby all kind of washed out before they got there. And he was stuck with one particular horse who was his third choice, Medina Spirit. Now, it may have sounded like it, but this was not the least likely Derby victory for Baffert as well, because that would have been, one he had a 20-1 long shot called War Emblem back in 2002. But like in that year and like last year with Authentic, it was a gate to wire victory for Medina Spirit. He was a 12-1 shot. He was sired by Protonico. Who heard of him? Okay, even if you're a casual bettor of horses, or if you know a lot about horse racing, you got to look and say Protonico. I don't even remember that horse. Okay, the horse was sold for $1,000 Just imagine that. You got all these other horses, millions of dollars paid for and worked on. This horse cost $1,000 2 years ago. Okay, Amr Zidane bought the horse. He paid 35,000. By then, the ups went, because it was a colt. So, but as it started looking better and got closer and closer to being a 3-year-old, our Zidane bought him, and because at that point had to pay $35,000. You never pay whatever somebody else paid. So that's the equivalent of 11 Matric Masses, okay? It's a beautiful horse, he said. He's great, and maybe just Medina Spirit became the alpha dog yesterday. So that's great. I love to see it. For a second year in a row, Velasquez never trailed in the Derby. This time it got exciting at the end because Mandaloon, who was 26-1, was breathing down his neck, only to finish a half a length behind. You had Hot Rod Charlie at 5-1, was a length behind in third, and Essential Quality, the 5-2 favorite, it was forced wide, kind of when they came to the turn, kind of had a bumpy start as well. He came in fourth. And according to Trackus, he had to go 68 more feet than Medina Spirit to finish within a length of a payday for most bettors, or $9.36 million for Mattress Mac. That's what he threw on the thing. Medina Spirit opened as a 100-1 choice last December in the Derby Futures Market in Las Vegas. Players could have gotten that price as late as New Year's Day. He was still 70-1 on January 19th of this year, 60-1 on January 25th, 55-1 on March 19th. The week after, he closed at 39-1, and that was about the story. You're not going to do much better than that. Okay, Churchill Downs, that's where they play. Even 6 hours before the race, he was still at 25-1 in the Nevada Futures. Okay, then finally he started getting some late money that came in. So congratulations to Bob Baffert. Congratulations to $1,000 horse. Like I said, all you do is you take a look at these big races like the Derby and the Preakness and the race out in New York. You have all these things going on, $1,000,000 horses. You hear after the race is over, this horse cost $1.5 million. This horse cost $2 million. These were well-bred super horses that were supposed to do very, very well. And here you got this little guy from down the block, grew up on the other side of town, was $1,000 horse. But, I've always contended this. One horse doesn't know what the other horse did. They have no idea whose mommy and daddy that passed out of the horse alongside of him is. All he knows is, I'm going to run the fastest I can, and I'm going to do the best I can. So once again, congratulations to Bob Baffert. Congratulations to anybody out there. If any of you guys out there had Medina Spirit, wow, you really did very, very well. And I'm glad you did. And I hope a lot more of you out there did have him in your picks. Although generally, most people will gravitate to that favorite like they did yesterday. So that's the story on the Derby. When we come back, we're going to take our first break. We're going to take a look at other things that happened. Other things did go on yesterday in the world of sports. We'll talk about those. We'll bring you up to date as to some of the statistical data that you need for that. And we'll be back right after this message. And welcome back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo, coming to you live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, also on Blackjack TV. We're also on Mile High Radio in Colorado, and of course podcasting on most of your major podcasts such as Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, just to name a couple. In the meantime, now that we got the Derby out of the way, let's talk about other things in the world of sports that happened yesterday. In the National Hockey League, once again, and it's been this way all season long, so it's no big surprise, the favorites went 11-3 with the Stars and Predators closing as a pick-em in that game. And the only upsets were by the Red Wings, who were a plus 240 against the Lightning, and the Devils a plus 130 against the Flyers, the Ducks at plus 113 against the Kings. Those were your three upset winners yesterday. Otherwise, 11 favorites came in. The unders went 9-5-1. You had a push on that Vancouver-Toronto game at 6, and they now lead, the unders lead 51.3%. Meanwhile, the first period unders, they went 9-6 yesterday, and they lead at 51% for the season. So no big surprise in the National Hockey League. That's the way it's been all season long. The favorites have been really crushing it in the NHL. In the NBA, the same thing kind of happens as well. They've been doing 1 week, you kind of see the favorites doing well. Then you have the underdogs doing well. Well, yesterday, the favorites went 8-2 straight up and 6-4 against the spread. 8-2 straight up, 6-4 against the spread. You had upsets by the Magic, who were 11.5-point dogs against the Grizzlies. The Nuggets were 6-point dogs against the Clippers. The Wizards were 4.5-point dogs against the Raptors, and of course plus the Wizards. The Wizards were 4.5-point underdogs, and they won. The Raptors were 7-point underdogs, and they covered, even though they did lose in that game. It's early in the morning. I'm still all excited about the Derby yesterday. It was really something to watch. So anyway, and let me just cover that once again. Wizards were 4.5-point underdogs, and they won. The Raptors were 7-point dogs. They didn't win. They lost, but they did cover. Okay. The favorites still lead against the spread. They're at almost 51%. The over-unders, they split yesterday 5-5. The overs lead at 50% right now. Meanwhile, in Major League Baseball, just the other way around. The dogs were barking loud and clear. They went 8-7 yesterday. You had upsets by the Cubs at a plus 142 on the money line. The Mets a minus 103 on the money line. The Brewers were plus 114. The Rockies plus 160. The Royals plus 130. The Orioles plus 170. The Rangers at a plus 160. And finally, the Blue Jays at plus 121. Now, that cut the lead for the favorites on down to 202 to 179 straight up with 16 pick'ems. The overs yesterday, they went 13-2, but the unders, they still lead at 198 to 184, or almost at 52%. So the dogs were barking loud and clear in Major League Baseball. Usual NBA, they kind of swapped back and forth. Yesterday, the favorites did pretty good. And then, of course, the National Hockey League, like I said, no surprise there. All season long, the National Hockey League, the favorites have been dominating that particular sport. So let's take a break. We take our second break. We take 3 breaks within the show. They're each of about a minute duration. When we come back, we're going to look at 3 games that are on tap for tonight, and afternoon as well, of course. We're going to see the line movement on these games, as well as determining in which direction the pros are going. We're going to look at Miami at Washington, St. Louis against Pittsburgh, and the Cubs against the Reds. So just a reminder, we'll be back into the sports wagering zone right after these messages. And welcome back. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. We're coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network, as well as Blackjack TV, and as well as most of your major podcast platforms, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, you name it, we're there. Anyway, thanks for listening. We're taking a look now at 3 games that are on tap for today. We're going to see how the line movement is proceeding in those games, and also give you an idea as to which direction the pros are going as well. The Nationals, well, this is the first game. Miami Marlins against the Washington Nationals. Miami 11-14. The Nationals are 10-12. Now, the Nationals have taken the first 2 games of this series. They won the opener 2-1. And in that game, they were plus 150 money line dogs, winning yesterday 7-2. And the other way around, people kind of turned around and said minus 150 as home favorites yesterday. So they were dogs in the first game and won, favorites in the second game and they won. So they've done pretty good over the weekend so far. The Nats have now won 3 straight, while the Marlins have lost 3 of 4. Now, in today's game, it's the series finale this afternoon. The Marlins send out Trevor Rogers. He's 3-1 this season with a 1.29 ERA. And the Nationals, they come back with their veteran ace, Max Scherzer, 1-2 so far this season with a 3.0 ERA. So as we look at the line, it opened with Washington as a modest, about a 138, minus 138 on the money line as a home favorite. The Marlins opened up as a plus 128 road dog. Now, as the early money starts coming in, it looks like the professionals that are betting and also the average general public, the casual bettor, that group of people, they seem to be backing the same team, and that's Washington, because we've seen Washington go up from 138 on the minus side to minus 145 on the money line. The Nationals have value because they're a favorite with the low total. The low total is 7 in this game. And historically, like we've always said before, low totals benefit the favorites because there's a fewer amount of runs that they're expecting to be played and to be gone. So they're more likely, the better team is the team to bet. The Nationals will lean on their bats in this one. Washington sitting 248, which is good for 6th place in the Major League Baseball. And the Marlins are hitting at 230, which ranks them 17th in the league. The Nationals are 6-4 as a favorite, and they're 7-5 at home. Meanwhile, the Fish, or the Marlins, they're 8-9 as a dog, and they're 7-8 on the road. So in this particular game, not only the pros, but also the general public, everybody seems to believe that the Washington Nationals are the team to beat. At the 1 o'clock game also, you got the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. Cardinals are 15-12. The Pirates are 12-14. Now, the Cardinals are going for the series sweep today. They won the series opener 7-3, and in that game they were 107 dogs on the plus side. And they won yesterday 12-5 as minus 150 on the money line as road favorites. So here you see the same situation. In this afternoon's final game, St. Louis comes out with Carlos Martinez. He's 1-4 this season with a 4.76 ERA. Meanwhile, the Pirates, they start Will Crow. He's no record so far this season with a 3.86 ERA. Now, looking at the line in this game, it opened with St. Louis listed as a minus 135 road favorite, and the Pirates a plus 125 home dog. Now, the pro money says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And they're riding the Cardinals once again. They had them twice so far. This is the 3rd time they're picking the Cardinals as well. We've seen St. Louis go up from being a minus 135 to a minus 145 on the money line. The Cardinals are plus 16 in run differential. The Pirates, minus 23. That minus 23 is the worst in the National League. The Cardinals are 8-6 on the road. The Pirates are 5-6 at home. Now, we've also seen some over money come in on this game, driving the total up from 8 to 8.5. As far as the weather's concerned, calls for temperatures in the mid 70s, but 10 to 15 mile per hour winds, and they're going to be blowing out to left center field. So generally, historically, whichever way you want to take a look at it, when that wind is blowing out, generally, usually you get more home runs because fly balls turn into home runs, whereas when the wind is blowing in the other direction, it goes the other way. You're stopping balls from going into the seats. So in this situation, it looks like the over might be the way to go as well. So the Cardinals and the over, that's the way the pros are looking at this game, between Pittsburgh and the St. Louis Cardinals. Meanwhile, also at 1:10 p.m. Eastern Time, you got the Cubbies 12-15 playing the Reds at 12-14, kind of similar. These are two National League Central teams. They split the first two games, obviously very close as far as their records are concerned. So it's only natural that they kind of keep splitting, right? The Reds won the opener 8-6. They were -120 home favorites. The Cubs, they came right back with that 3-2 victory yesterday. In that game, they were +140 on the money line as the road dogs. Now, as we look at today's rubber match, the Cubs will come in with Trevor Williams. He's 2-2 so far this season with a 4.44 ERA, trip fours. And the Reds send out their righty, Tyler Mahle, 1-1 with a 1.75 ERA. So as we look at the line, it opened with Cincinnati as a -150 home favorite and Chicago as a +140 road dog. That's how they started. Now, the public, they're all over the Reds at home with a better pitcher on the mound. That's the way they seem to look at it. However, despite all the support in that direction, we've seen the number go down on Cincinnati, down from being a -150 to a -140 on the money line. This is what we call a sharp reverse line movement. And what it means is that the pro money is buying low on the Cubs at a real nice plus money price of +140. That in the meantime has dropped down to +130 after they started putting their money in. The Cubs have value as a dog off of a win. They're also a divisional dog, and they're a dog with a line move in their favor. So the analytics point toward the Cubs as well. Now, we've also seen that road dogs crush it this season so far. So far, there's been about a 12% return on investment when you looked at road dogs this season, okay? So we've also seen some under money coming in on this game as well. The total opened at 9. We've seen some of the shops going down to 8.5. Now, when the total is 8.5 or more, the under is at 58% so far this season. So taking a look at this final game, the pros are on the Cubs, the general public on the Cincinnati Reds. So just to recap real quickly once again, the Marlins against the Nationals, pros and the general public on the Washington Nationals. St. Louis against Pittsburgh, once again, the pros are on the Cardinals. And in the Cubs game against the Cincinnati Reds, the pros are on the Cubs, the underdog in that particular game. So yesterday, we had 3 selections we talked about that we said were going in which direction. We gave you the Cardinals against the Pirates, and the Cardinals won. But we also had Baltimore against Oakland. We had Oakland, and that was a loser. And the Angels against the Mariners. We had the Mariners in that game, and it was a losing situation also. So we had 3 plays yesterday. We had 2 winners, we had 2 losers, 1 winner, which kind of brings our grand total up to 82 plays so far this season, 46 wins, 35 losses. You're at 55.4%. That's still keeping you in the plus column with this little very simple method of playing teams in baseball. Very simple. Just follow the money line, follow the line movement. You see which direction the pros are going, and that's the way we go. So let's take our final break, and we'll be back right after this. And welcome back. You're back in the sports wagering zone. I'm Chris Pardo. Thank you very much for listening. Coming to you live from Charlotte, North Carolina, right here on the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. Now, during the week, tomorrow, Monday through Friday, the show is on at 12 noon Eastern Time. 12 noon Eastern Time right here at I-95 on the Sports and Entertainment Network, Monday through Friday. Saturdays and Sundays, we're on at 11 a.m. So we'll be back again tomorrow afternoon with whatever the selections are. There's probably not going to be any baseball games for tomorrow, as I can probably tell, but there'll be something to bet on. There always is something to bet on, that's for sure. Anyway, just to recap the games for today, the Cardinals and the Pirates in that particular game, the pros are on the St. Louis Cardinals, and of course Miami Marlins against the Washington Nationals. Everybody seems to like the Nationals in this particular game. Not only are the pros on the Nationals, but also the general public is leaning very strongly in that direction as well. And then finally, you have the Cubs against the Cincinnati Reds. And in this particular game, the pros are on the Cubs. The Cubs are the underdog in this game against the Reds. The general public favors the Cincinnati Reds. So that's the story for the games on for today. Yesterday was the Derby. I hope a lot of you guys had the winner. It's hard to imagine how many would, but I certainly hope it's our listeners that are doing very, very well with the Derby. One of those strange situations where you have the guy from the other side of the track came back into town and beat all the big money runners that were there. So anyway, our congratulations to Bob Baffert on that. 7 wins in the Derby. He is now the best trainer ever for the Kentucky Derby, had more winners than anybody else. Up until then, it was 6, now that he broke the record. So thanks again for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern Time. And if you're going to be betting today, I wish you have the best of luck. I hope you do okay today. Maybe get back some of that money you may have lost on the Derby yesterday. And also, I hope you have a beautiful Sunday as well. But we'll be back again tomorrow, 12 noon, same time, same station, I-95 Sports and Entertainment Network. So until tomorrow, have a very pleasant Sunday, but more importantly than that, have a very profitable Sunday as well. So until tomorrow at 12 noon, have a very good day until 2 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock noon tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Goodbye, everybody.